we are back with the second half of the second week of February.
Yeah.
Okay, so first up we're going to talk about Frankenstein Agent of Shade, issue number 6.
This issue had some stuff going on in it. So, they're in the middle of the jungle and they're tracking down this guy who used to work for them, who's nuclear.
Yeah, in Vietnam.
Yeah. And he ran off because he decided that the war was unjust before everybody else figured out that the war was a bad idea. And he left, and then he started exploding because he just wanted to live out and die, but it wouldn't allow him. So pretty much it ends with Frankenstein capping him, right?
Yeah.
Because he wants to die.
Yeah, he's got a special bullet that they've created that'll
Kill
basically shut his nuclear reactor
Yeah.
that he is down.
Yeah. But that wasn't the interesting part of this comic. The interesting part is the humanids that work in the ant farm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was interesting. So they gain, one of them gains spontaneous intelligence.
Gain sentience, yeah.
Yeah, gains a spontaneous sentience, and then decides that he's going to make a lot of them sentient. So then they start taking over pretty much the ant farm. And they release the original Creature Commandos, which are freaky, which I thought was awesome because they are just so messed up looking, and it makes sense that they'd be in the little itty-bitty prison thing. Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. I liked the art, I liked the story, and I liked the character, the Colonel Quantum, or whatever his name is.
The Colonel Quantum?
Yeah. I thought he was pretty interesting, and I thought that the backstory that they had with him was cool too.
Yeah, this was a much more interesting issue for me. I've been waiting for something to really catch hold for me in this book, and I really haven't. Hasn't really been anything. The last issue had a small amount of interest in it, in the fact that when they're helping put Frankenstein back together again, they hint on the fact that they might be able to actually trace all the different DNA from all the different body parts on him. That was interesting. The issues before that, when they go to the creature planet, the monster planet, whatnot, that was a big yawn. To me it was boring. I mean, other than other people in the house like it, like you, I was pretty much ready for this to be done with this book. I haven't been that excited about it. There's cool ideas, but nothing's executed very well at all for me. This issue, completely different story. Cool ideas are still there, and it got delivered really interesting. We get some kind of backstory on Frankenstein and things he's done with the whole Vietnam era stuff, and he took some of the guys with him, and they went and dealt with this Colonel Quantum, a peace sympathizer. They end up putting him down. Once again showing just how hardcore that Frankenstein is. That he has no problems with mercy kills. And whatnot. And while that's happening, we learn more about the ant farm itself, the humanids that run the place. They get recycled every 24 hours. They get created and then basically walked into this vat, get locked down into goop, and then get reconstituted into it. Like you said, one of them decides that he wants something to do with that, runs off, and pretty much they kind of take over the ant farm and release the thing that's locked up, the things that are locked up in the Uber prison, the zoo, yeah, as they call it. They call it the zoo, which of course ended up being the original Creature Commandos, which, as you said earlier, Monster Commandos is probably a better name for them, the way they look and whatnot. This looks like it's going to be pretty cool. I mean, I don't know if it's going to just be a big giant monster bash, or if there's going to be more to it than that. I like the idea of this book. Like I said, I like the ant farm. I like the fact that they have basically this entire city is cruising around inside this little ship that's flying around the world and whatnot. The whole thing's really cool.
Yeah, that's
I
really
continue
awesome.
to like the way they use, Palmer, who was, in the past was the original Adam and whatnot. In action, they mention the fact he's just a government liaison and whatnot. So there's some interesting stuff in there. I think next issue, the issue after that, everything changes. They change writers, so we'll see how it goes from there. I like the characters and whatnot. I just thought there'd be more to it than that. This might be that.
Yeah.
What would you rate it?
I'd give it a 3 out of 5.
Yeah, I'll give it a 3. Yeah.
Yeah. So we were talking about Velcro's costume, and we decided that maybe the reason why he looks the way he does, like why he has the pilot hat and the little glove checkered things, those little yellow things that he wears on his arm, is because it was based off of the old World War I plane pilots that paint their planes all the funky colors. And for this it makes no sense because he's a recent thing, but back in the old team of these
Creature
people,
Commandos.
the old Creature Commandos in Seven Soldiers of Victory, they're all World War I people who pretty much get put in stasis because they can't really figure out how to kill any of them. Yeah. And the only reason why they get let out is because Frankie shows up and saves them all.
Right.
So.
And he was German, right? The original one.
Yeah, he's German.
Von something or other.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, that could be. Or maybe they're just paying tribute to that. Maybe that's what that is.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, it's kind of an odd costume, though.
Yeah, it's weird.
Okay. What's next?
Next we have Huntress, number 5. I like this issue. It was pretty cool, and it shows us that Huntress is a little bit more rogue than we originally thought, that she's not completely a goody two-shoes.
Now, in actuality, she very rarely has been. When the character was first introduced, when Helen Buccinelli, I guess I'm going to call her name, even though I don't know if that's exactly how you say it. It's Italian. When that version of Huntress was introduced anyway, she was a vigilante. She had no issues with shooting people all the time and whatnot. And the heroes worked on her with that. I mean, that's why some of the early Birds of Prey that we read, they were always concerned that she was going to go out and, put a crossbow, through their head as opposed to arresting them. So this, who we know is Owain, she's Owain, Helen Owain, I'm pretty sure, from Earth 2, even though that has been talked about in this miniseries, but from what we've talked about in the blogosphere and whatnot, what DC has said, that's who she is. She's a little more hardcore than Dad from our reality, but we don't know what the Bruce Wayne from Batman from Earth 2 is like. Maybe he's hardcore too. Anyway, by the end of this thing, they pretty much imply that she shot the guy at the end.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the reason why they didn't actually show us dead is because she's shooting him through the head. So. Yeah.
I think it'd been funny if when they were when the EMTs are rolling the body into the cover, if it would have had the little, lifted up spot where the arrow is at. Then we'd know for sure, wouldn't we? Yeah. Because we don't know for sure. We don't know for sure.
I'm assuming
anyway, I like this book.
Bag at the end, and the guy says father. So.
Yeah, I like this because, well, anything that's got Huntress in it kicking a whole bunch of people's butts, I'm all for.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And she does. I mean, she's chucking smoke bombs in and bumping all kinds of guys and whatnot. And basically just purely seeking revenge at this point. Because I don't think that, at this point, he's the guy that she takes out. He's just looking for asylum. I think he's pretty much done running girls and stuff like that, right? I mean, he's just trying to get out of his country, one piece and establish himself a nice, rich whatever. And so now she's just going after him for the sake of going after him.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I like it. Next issue is the last issue. I'll be curious to see how they ended up at, if they... because now I'm assuming she'll have to deal with the kid. Yeah,
that's what my thought would be.
Yeah, so I give this book a 3 out of 3.
Yeah, 3.
Yep, it's fun. Like in Marcus 2. Marcus 2 is going to be on something else that we're going to be reading soon. What was it? I can't remember. The artist. When they do the juggle around, I don't remember what he's on.
I don't remember either.
Something we collect. Anyway, I'm looking forward to it because he's great. He's going to be at Emerald City Comic Con.
Oh, cool.
And at the end of the month for us, we're going to go to Emerald City Comic Con, and he'll be there. So we'll at least stop by and say hi. I don't know if I'm going to
shove a camera in his face.
Well, or see if we can get a commission from him.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah.
All right. Next up is Lobster Johnson, The Burning Hand, number 2.
This issue is pretty awesome. We get some more look into the series. We get to know Lobster Johnson a little better. We actually get to see what Lobster Johnson looks like.
Right, because we're not familiar with this character at all. I mean, this is not one of those, this is Dark Horse puts out this book. Lobster Johnson is a part of the Hellboy umbrella, as it were, but he's back in the 1940s, so he would have been doing his work when around the time that they just found Hellboy as a baby, is my understanding.
Yeah.
But we've never really read a Hellboy comic book either. I've just been kind of picking these things up, thinking, well, we'll start looking at some of this stuff. I read some Abe Sapien that we really liked, so
that was pretty awesome.
And then I picked this up to see what this is like and what this character it would be for us and whatnot. So yes, this has been kind of cool so far. It's got kind of a pulp noir kind of a feel to it because of the era that's set
lobsters.
in. Right.
Lobsters.
Right. We get to see the lobster cave.
Yeah, the lobster cave,
which is kind of funny, but you know, and he's got all the kind of stuff. So he's, you know, in a way, it's been interesting. What makes it interesting is the mobsters that he's beating up and taking out finally decide that after
they're going to bring in heavy people.
They're going to bring in their own mystics, because obviously Lobster must be some sort of a mystic himself, because everybody shoots him and he doesn't seem to get killed or hurt. Are they just missing him? I don't know, because like I said, me and you don't know enough about him to know. Does he have some powers, or are they just bad shots? I don't know.
I don't know.
But yeah, the bad guy that they bring in at the very end is really cool.
Ooh, okay. So the bad guy comes in, and it's this like Asian-looking lady.
Yeah.
And she has her husband, I think.
I don't know. It's a husband either.
So they're mystics, though, and they're obviously working together.
Well, yeah.
And she asks him because he has this big trench coat and this hat, and it's brought down, and you can't see anything. And she asks him if a gentleman wears his hat inside, because they're in this little bunker. So the guy takes his hat off, and as he's taking his hat off, you can't see anything still, it's all blacked out, but his coat starts to ripple. And then the ink on the pages...
Yeah, there's a
on the pages
the mobster's
paperwork,
sitting there at his desk. The papers he has across his desk, the ink starts to
raise
lift
up.
Yeah.
And it's a picture of him, and he's still in his trench coat and stuff. And it's ink rising up.
Yeah.
I'm going to assume that's what it is. And it's ink and it's rising up.
Hellfire, I don't know, it's all black.
There's a skull.
Yeah.
And a lighter color of black.
Yeah, it's awesome. We'll spoil it and show you the picture.
Yeah.
Here's last panel. There you can see the ink lifting up. And then there is our bad guy who took off his hat. So yeah, he's pretty sinister looking. I mean, I would want to run into him. He's pretty wicked looking. Anyway, so yeah, this has been pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is number 2 out of 5. It's another miniseries.
Yep.
I would give it a very strong 3.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. It's, if you like that style of thing, you're into kind of the Hellboy thing, you like it, that's a little bit, noir kind of a thing. It's pretty cool. He's a pretty cool guy. Anyway, there's that. What's last?
Finally, we have Resurrection Man, number 6. This issue is pretty cool. So he wakes up in Gotham because the last issue ends with them carting him to Gotham. And they think he's totally bonkers because he keeps telling people to kill him so he can prove that he's who he says he is. And he has no fingerprints. Like, at all.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like there ever was any fingerprints. It's not like he chemically burned them off. And he tries to jump off the cliff, so then they put him into isolation. And the cops of Gotham obviously aren't very nice.
No, I mean the cops of Gotham. I mean the guards.
The guards.
The guards in Arkham?
Gotham. Yeah.
No, they're some of them are criminals too, really. Yeah. So he basically spends a lot of the issue trying to get people to kill him so he can prove, because they think he's crazy. And that's why he's in Arkham, because he keeps saying, look, I die and I come back all the time.
He keeps saying, kill me. He keeps saying,
So he picks fights with everybody. Then he finally gets thrown into the bad wing, where all the superpowered psychopaths are at, where they don't medicate him. Why he wouldn't medicate him, I have no idea. But anyway, they don't medicate him. And he gets himself in. He ends up
in the middle
of a
jailbreak.
A jailbreak, right?
Led by this villain called Sumo, who's just seriously a huge sumo wrestler. He's dressed up like a sumo wrestler, and he's huge. And obviously, he's really strong. And Resurrection Man zaps him really hard because his powers are electricity.
Right.
So Sumo
breaks his neck.
Yeah, breaks his neck. And then it's a few panels later, and Sumo gets thrown down the hall.
Yeah.
And the guards are like, holy crap, who throws Sumo around? And Shelley's there, and he's like, he pretty much pulled a Hulk impression.
Yeah.
And his clothes are all ripped up, and he's huge, and he has huge muscles, and he ends up stopping.
He stops the jailbreak, lets Gordon know that he stopped the jailbreak, because Commissioner Gordon's there, and then the prison guards shoot him.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to be exposed.
The corrupt one shoots him.
They shoot him dead and go, oh, well, you know, I thought he was going for a weapon or whatever, kind of a silliness.
Yeah.
To get rid of him.
Uh-huh.
But.
Yeah. And so then he comes back to life.
Well,
obviously.
what happens is the guard was getting paid by Sumo. Well, he ends up getting his money anyway. Sumo gets thrown back in jail.
And
the guy ends up being accommodated as a hero. He's sitting at home, you know, living like a fat cat because he's getting workman's comp for being beat up. He got the money from Sumo, and everybody thinks he's great, you know. And he's sitting there and enjoying himself. And
well, Shelley has new powers.
Yeah.
These are fire powers. So the guy hears something. He's like, "Who's there?" And his kitchen is lit up in this blue fire. And so pretty much he comes running out, and he's like, "You're dead." He comes running out, and he's like freaking out. He's crying to Gordon. He's like, "You can take me. I did it. I let them go. Just keep him away from me." And Gordon's like, "Okay."
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It was great.
So he ends up being arrested at the end, too.
Yeah.
So yeah, not much in the way of plot development as far as telling Shelley's story really and moving forward as far as the whole, you know, angel thing and the other people that are out trying to get him and where does he really come from.
But I'm still happy with this.
Yeah, it was still a fun issue. It just didn't add to any of those things.
No.
You know, this wouldn't be crucial if you missed this if you're reading to get the story about him and whatnot. But yeah, it was fun.
Mm-hmm.
It was
definitely. I liked it.
What do you think?
I gave it a 4 out of 5.
Really? I gave it a 3. It didn't excite me that much, but but it was fun. I like the books that add to the plot more than the ones that don't. But no,
makes sense.
I'm still enjoying the heck out of this.
Definitely.
I believe these two guys write another book. I think they write New Mutants for Marvel. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong on that. I've been debating whether or not I should pick those up because I do like these guys' writing. It's pretty good writing and whatnot. I used to collect the New Mutants way back when they first had New Mutants. So maybe we'll give that a look just because we've been liking this so far.
Yep.
Writing seems to be pretty good. Anyway, yeah, I guess that's it for this week. Coming up here pretty quick, we'll have another week because we've got another week worth of comics that have already been read. And you know, as we're shooting this in a couple days, I'll get the next shipment of comics too. So we'll have to stay right on the ball. Anyway, have a good one until the next time we talk to you. Bye.
Bye.